Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Temple City Council for Thursday, May the 7th. If you please rise, Father Tom Chamberlain with Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic Church will lead us in an invocation. Father, welcome.
Thank you. Let us pray. Lord God, we ask your blessing upon all of us who are gathered here today, and pray especially for the council members and for their important service to our community. Pray that you grant them knowledge and wisdom, understanding, right judgment, and courage to deal with the matters that are presented before them today. Pray for all of the citizens and members of our community, and especially those who bring their concerns here today. They may express them clearly, and that they may truly be attentively listened to. We ask that the best decisions be made as you guide the members of this council. Lord, we thank you for the good and positive things happening in our community. We also ask you to help us to help our community to grow and to improve, all of us together with our city council members. And all of this we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. And next, Ms. Haley Capps with Girl Scout Troop 8330 will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Haley.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first order of business on our agenda is to present and receive proclamations and special recognitions this evening. And we'll begin with Mr. Willie Capps, who's representing Temple Elks Lodge number 138. And Willie, we'll ask you to come forward and receive a proclamation that's become an annual event for us, and recognizing the great work that the Elks do. And so we are pleased again to have you here this evening with us. Proclamation from the Office of Mayor, City of Temple. Whereas the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks has designated the week beginning May 1st as Youth Week to honor America's junior citizens for their accomplishments and to give fitting recognition to their services to community, state, and nation. Whereas Temple Elks Lodge number 138 will sponsor an observance during that week in tribute to the junior citizens of this community. And whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource and who in years ahead will assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society. Whereas our youth need the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to help develop these qualities of character essential for future leadership. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now therefore I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, with great pride do proclaim the week of May 4th through 8th of 2009 as Youth Week in the City of Temple, Texas. And I encourage all citizens to honor the youth in our community by expressing appreciation for their accomplishments and to let them know that we are very proud of them. In testimony whereof I witness my hand and the seal of the City of Temple, Texas, this 7th day of May of 2009. And Willie, we present this to you and to the Temple Elks Lodge in appreciation for all that you do, and thanks for recognizing our youth. Anything you'd like to tell us about Youth Week?
Youth Week, tonight we're having a banquet at the lodge, hamburgers and french fries. We will be honoring 7 Eagle Scouts, 5 Girl Scouts, 3 coloring contest winners for drug awareness, 2 American essay contest winners, one from Travis and one from Belton over here. That's what we're doing this week here. We have other things we do. We have a scholarship program. We give out over $6 million a year in scholarships and grants. That's second only to the United States government. We have a very strong drug awareness program. I have given over 264,000 pieces of federal education literature to our DARE program. I have provided about 40,000 red ribbons to our schools for Red Ribbon Week. We have baseball, softball, soccer, basketball. Our soccer shoot's coming up on the 23rd. If you want to come out to a soccer shoot, we have all the way to state. And our hoop shoot, we'll go all the way to nationals. Our national winners wins a 4-year scholarship. And we have all kinds of stuff. We do donations to all kinds of charitable programs. This year we have donated $2,500 to the new handicap park that's going up for the Alliance. That's part of our grant fund that we have. And we have paid out $14,000 to buy prosthetic devices for kids in this town here. And we've also, I found a class, a special ed class with a teacher and students and nothing else. I spent $7,500 buying educational aids for this teacher to teach special ed students over here in Belton. Temple getting their fair share too. Very dedicated to using our community, and we thank you for your support for our various fundraisers we come to, and thank you for the proclamation.
Great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Haley, for leading our Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, by the way, about 2 months ago, we have a Citizen of the Year program, and I haven't gotten the paper yet, but our mayor is the Elks Valley Citizen of the Year for this year.
Thank you, Willie. Next, we have a proclamation for Temple Tourism Week. So if I can ask Mr. Sakura and staff from the Convention Center and tourism staff to please come forward, and our Mayor Pro Tem will present this proclamation this evening. Staff and volunteers, as I see Mr. Poteet come forward.
This proclamation is from the office of the mayor. Whereas for more than 125 years, people have enjoyed traveling to Temple to visit our magnificent parks, museums, and countless other natural, historic, and cultural sites. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize Temple's attractions, special events, historic sites, and recreational activities such as the Railroad and Heritage Museum, Czech Heritage Museum, Lake Belton, and all of Temple's city parks and annual events. Whereas Temple continues to encourage the development of a variety of choices for travelers who want entertainment, nightlife, fine dining, family-centered activities, and scenic beauty. And whereas the travel and tourism industry represents a vital part of Temple's economy. Now therefore I, Patsy Luna, for William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 9th through 17th, 2009 as Temple Tourism Week in the City of Temple, Texas, and I encourage all citizens to commend all those involved in the success of the tourism industry in this fine city. In testimony whereof, I witness my hand and seal of the City of Temple, Texas. This is the 7th day of May, 2009, and it's signed by William A. Jones III, our mayor. And I can present this to you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I think the council, this kind of dispels what I've been telling you all, that Nancy is a one-person staff for our tourism. Actually, you can see we do have a lot of folks, and I'd like Nancy to say something in a minute, but one of the changes we recently made is the convention center, which is a real important part of tourism, is now under Nancy's guidance, and that's why a lot of the staff are here. But let me have her say a few words. She truly deserves the opportunity to do this.
Thank you all very much. I'll be brief. I just wanted to invite you all to come to either the Visitor Center or the Convention Center next Friday. We'll have an open house at both facilities that day. And then also come out to the Battle of Temple Junction, our newest, hopefully annual event here in Temple, a Civil War reenactment in the North Temple Industrial Park. That's the 16th and the 17th. So thank you.
Is the outcome unknown on the reenactment?
As of these guys, they're going to say the South is going to win.
Let me, on behalf of the council, thanks each and every one of you for the work that you do on behalf of the city, whether you're staff or volunteers. We bring a lot of people into this community, and through our convention center, there are a lot of people that come back to Temple because of the great job that you do and the way you make them feel welcome and the services that you provide. So to Nancy and to all of you and to Mr. Poteet for all the volunteer hours that you put in for the city, thanks to each and every one of you, and congratulations. Thank you all. And our next recognition is, again, to staff, and we turn to another part of our community, and Mr. Bruce Butcher, and if you'll please come forward with your staff, all your department heads. And you guys are kind of the backroom operations, and but we don't happen without you. You make us look good. And the only time we know you're there is when we have problems. Otherwise, everything just works. That's the way it's supposed to go, right, Michael? Oh, okay. So, again, proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, City of Temple. Whereas Public Works Week, public work services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. Whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as solid waste, traffic signal, drainage, streets, fleet services, engineering, public works administration, water treatment plant, water distribution, sewer collection, and the Dozier water wastewater treatment plant. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services. Whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and the skill of the public works officials. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work that they perform. Now therefore I, William A. Jones III, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through 23rd as Public Works Week in the City of Temple, Texas. And I encourage all citizens to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. In testimony whereof I witness my hand in the seal of the City of Temple on this, the 7th day of May, 2009. Bruce, thanks to you, thanks to all of you for all that you do. You really help us make this a great city. Thanks.
If I can say a few words, these folks standing here are the. These folks are the.
It is. You just got to hold it close.
These folks are the Public Works Department heads, and this is the best Public Works team. I'll put our group up against anybody in the country. We can get more done with less, faster, and get it closer to being right than anybody. And last year I tried to introduce all department heads myself, and I didn't do a real good job. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves because they may know who they are.
Tell the department what you want.
Okay, Michael Newman, Assistant Director, and I have responsibilities over the Engineering Department, streets, drainage, and traffic control, or traffic devices, but also Kenny Henderson's not able to be here tonight. He's our street superintendent.
I'm Nicole Tarava, and I'm the Assistant Director in charge of solid waste, fleet, water treatment, water distribution, sewer collection, sewer treatment, and mapping.
I'm Chris Parker. I'm with CH2M Hill OMI. We're under contract with the City of Temple. I'm the project manager of Dozier Farm Wastewater Treatment Plant. We take care of the treatment plant, reclaim water that's fed to parks, and the 27 sewage lift stations in the city.
I'm Lisa Seebeck, the Director of Solid Waste Services, and we take care of all your trash and recycling.
My name is Johnny Reisner. I'm the Water Treatment Plant Manager. Sam Wade, Fleet Services Department. Thomas Brown, I'm the superintendent of distribution and collection, and we take care of all the repair of the water and sewer lines.
My name is Aaron Gonzalez. I'm in charge of mapping and GIS for Public Works.
Thanks to all of you. And the photographer from that department is Carolyn Bennett, administrative assistant to Bruce Butcher. So thanks, Carolyn, for being here. Thanks for all you do. And our last recognition for this evening is Heart and Stroke Healthy Recognition Award. And Mr. Nicholas Lopez, Texas Council on Cardiovascular Disease and Stroke, will present this award to the city. And I think he's got some staff members from Scott and White with us tonight. Mr. Lopez?
Mike? Or
there's a mic on that podium right
there's
there.
a mic right here? Okay. We're very excited to be here today on National Stroke Awareness Month to present a couple of awards, recognition awards, to both the City of Temple along with Scott and White Hospital. The Heart and Stroke Healthy City Recognition Program is an outcome from an assessment we did for the City of Temple last fall, 2008. The assessment consists of 10 evidence-based indicators that are proven to reduce the heart disease and stroke. These indicators include media campaigns in the community, healthy food options, a strong smoking ordinance, and local EMS acute treatment for stroke patients and heart attack patients. So the city earned an honorable mention award, and this program was developed and is managed and reviewed by the Texas Council on Cardiovascular Disease and Stroke, and I'm very happy to have one of the 11 governor-appointed council members here today. He lived the closest to Temple, so he was the chosen one to be here today. Mr. Lewis West is here today to present the award to Mayor Jones. So.
Okay. Well, he just gave all of my speech, so you're going to get to go home early tonight. I would like to tell you just a little bit about the council. Our mission is to educate, inform, and facilitate action among Texans to reduce the human and financial toll of cardiovascular disease and stroke. Our goal is to position Texas to be a nationally and globally competitive state through maintaining a heart and stroke healthy population. The objective is for all Texas cities that they would offer a heart and stroke healthy environment for persons to work, live, and play. So tonight, it's my honor to tell you that you did get an honorable mention, and you may think, well, why didn't we get higher than that? Well, be glad you got that. We grade pretty tough. I'll give you a little bit of background about myself and why I'm on the council. In fact, this lady over here asked this afternoon back here, how come you're on that council? So I said, well, you know, they couldn't get anybody else, and I was at the end of the alphabet with a W, so they had run out. So, but actually, I came from a healthcare background for almost 50 years in healthcare administration. I also, my wife had a stroke and a heart attack and subsequently died. So you see, I have a real interest in this particular council. And it's been really good for me. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot of hard work that's put into these projects. And Donna Dunn was the one that actually did a lot of yours for the city. So it's my privilege tonight to give this plaque, this award, to the Mayor of Temple.
Mr. West, thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Miss Donna Dunn from Scott and White was our local liaison. She was the one who got a group together to obtain this information throughout the community. So I want to give a big applause for Miss Donna Dunn. And we made a big trip to Temple, so I had the privilege of meeting our regional staff. They're here as big sources of information. And we work closely with Parks and Recreation, local EMS. So is there any other participant in this assessment that I failed? Shannon?
For the city, yes.
For the city of Temple. So round of applause. Regional? Regional, yes, good work. So we came up here again, and since we're here, we also wanted to recognize the work of Scott and White Hospital for their program called Heart Aware reaching rural populations and stroke aware. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of Texas for men and women, both in Texas and the United States. And this program is very unique. It's a core program aimed at reducing the incidence of cardiovascular disease by delivering free diagnostic, educational, and treatment services through clinics in Temple and 6 rural communities. Cardiovascular disease is most notably in rural and minority populations. So one of public health's primary priorities is to focus on health disparities and how to address those disparities. And as a result, over 4,500 individuals were self-assessed and received education on modifiable risk factors, including high blood pressure, cholesterol screening, and other services. And of these individuals, over 315 individuals participated in an on-site screening at those clinics. And I want to call Dr. Catherine McNeil. She was our representative for Scott and White Hospital.
Great.
So that's it.
Mr. Lopez, thank you very much for coming and bringing the programs here and letting us know where we stand. And we'll see if we can't get that moved up a little bit. Mr. West, you're tough, but we can improve.
And these are recognized statewide. We're going to be having an upcoming statewide conference where both of these entities will be recognized.
Great. Good. Dr. McNeil, thanks very much. It's a great program. We're very proud of you to have that program here. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Donna. So long. Night. Next item is a public appearance. We are here to receive comments from Mike and Jennifer Blanton regarding curbside recycling in the city of Temple. Mrs. Blanton, good evening.
Thank you first for letting us speak. My sister's one of the girls, so I'm speaking. First off, my name is Jennifer Blanton, and my husband and I have lived here for almost 6 years. And I'm an educator, and I've taught for 10 years. So excuse me if I get nervous speaking to second graders all day long. Not really. But we wanted to come because we do like to recycle, and of course, being an educator, my kids at school always want to recycle, and it is important. And one of the things that we've noticed is that, of course, recycling company. And so my husband and I are wanting to start a curbside recycling business in Temple. And that's why we're here to propose to you. And with that, we want to do a curbside recycling business so that we can help out families. And I put a folder at the curbside, sorry. With the curbside recycling, a lot of families are like my husband and I, where we both work, and so family time is precious. And this would be like your trash pickup. We would come by twice a month, not every week, twice a month, and pick up specified items from the home in a recycle bin. And then we would take them to one of the local recycling facilities, and depending on the load, obviously if it's too big for Temple, then we would go to either Waco or to Austin to one of the
bigger plant that could recycle those items, and we would take them for the homeowner. They would pay a fee for the bin, and they would also pay a monthly service fee for us to do this, ranging anywhere from $15 to $20 or so, depending on what our fee to the city is, if y'all agreed with us, what our fee there, and how many homes signed up for this service to come to their home. I know I've asked several of our friends and things about that, and they would appreciate something like that because they are busy during the day and they want to help our landfill. They want to help our environment by, with water bottles and with our aluminum. A lot of us drink lots and lots of Coke cans or whatever, and just the little bitty things that add up. They would like to help out our community, and this would definitely give the way. I mean, one of my kiddos came in the other day and said, "Ms. Blanton, I'm recycling the water bottles. Where's our recycle bin?" I said, "Sweetheart, we don't have one. I'm sorry. We need to do that. That's really important, and I don't want to discourage you, but I don't have one." So we would like to do that, and I know my children even taped up a sign the other day that said, "Save water, drink less," or something. I was like, no, what is this? My husband's like, "What is this?" I said, "She's just into the, it's Earth Day. It was Earth Day that day, and she had read in the many pages and was wanting to help out." And so she was very excited, and the kids are very excited, and we do have parents that would love to help out and recycle. We're just in our society of run, and I try to even get my friends to do stuff, and they're like, "We've got soccer, we've got baseball, we can barely make it here or there." So, and there are benefits, and I put a few of the benefits of recycling, and most of them and there's just, a plethora of things that happen when we recycle, and a lot of these I didn't even know, and I'm just like amazed at certain things that I didn't know, and I know my kids would be amazed, and sometimes we just don't know all that we could be doing just in a small way. We know the Walmart trash, we know the Walmart sacks, we need to recycle those, but it's just amazing at how many other things we could and what it could save. And I know Temple's just a small community, and ours is just a small dent, but hopefully these kiddos, when they grow up, will continue to do some of those small things. And so how would we do this? We would first start off with just a landscaping trailer, compartmentalized for the different items. That would be a closed trailer, so the trash isn't flying out the back end. And we would service everybody's house on a designated day and go and pick up and empty their bins and leave their bin empty when they come home. And then we would, like I said, take it to one of the local recycling companies, or to Waco or to Austin, depending on how many recyclable items we have. And, that being said, obviously the bigger it gets, then the bigger we would get a truck or something. We already have a place to store everything here locally in Temple, so we already have those things in line. I don't think if there's anything else. So, it's pretty, I know you can all read, and it's in there, so we just really want to help out Temple. We want to help out our families, and we want to give back to our earth, being just good stewards of the land that we have. And I know in our house, my husband's amazed at how many times we have to take out the trash. And a lot of that is recyclable items that we could be turning into something else and, making those things. So, and especially as a teacher, we recycle all kinds of things, whether it be for crafts or whatever, but we're into recycling as much as we can, and we would just like to pass that on. So, we are here to propose that to you. And of course, if you have any questions.
Great, thank you, Ms. Blanton. Have you worked with our staff at all in either legal department or city manager's office or that, with any details or proposals to find out what requirements you might have to be able to do this in the city of Temple?
Right. The only thing that I was told that we just need to propose it, and then of course wait on your, see if you would grant us a franchise ordinance, and then do the different steps.
So you've determined that you'll need a franchise?
Right. We have determined that we do need a franchise ordinance, and that would of course be, you're okay on that. If this was something that you would see that we could do. So we're very prepared to do it, and I've got a thick binder. My kids are amazed. They're like, "How much stuff is in there?" And I even have my daughter going, "Okay, find me the benefits of recycling." And she was digging through it and finding it out.
And y'all live in Temple?
Well, we did live in Temple. We just, this past summer, moved right outside into Salado. Okay. But we do I teach in Temple and at one of the local schools. So.
Council, any other questions for the Blantons? Great.
All right. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is an opportunity for public comments, and we actually have no one signed up to speak this evening, so we'll just move on through that item. Then we have a presentation from advisory boards and staff, and we are to receive a presentation regarding the city's water conservation plan. Mr. Butcher?
Hello again.
Sorry.
As we all know, we're getting closer to that time of year when we're going to start using a lot more water than we've been using. And wanted to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about the city's water conservation plan. We're changing it a little bit this year, and we want to be able to have an opportunity to get everybody on board and let them know what we're doing. Next slide, please. The water conservation plan is mandated by the state. The purpose is to conserve available water supply, protect integrity of water supply facilities, and protect public health, welfare, and safety. Basically, our plan has several stages. The city manager has the responsibility to determine, quote, determine when conditions warrant initiation of the various stages. Usually, or in the past, it has been strictly based on system use and or system capacity. There are 5 stages in the plan that's been submitted to the state, and in general, the first stage is awareness and education. The second stage is for a mild to moderate water shortage. Third is for severe water shortage. Fourth is for critical, and fifth is for emergency, which would be something like a major problem with our water system, unforeseen kind of breakdown or something like that. Stage 1 is the voluntary stage. The primary objective is to educate and to raise awareness of water conservation. Stages 2 through 5 are mandatory, and there become positions where fines can be levied and or the city can discontinue service to people who continually don't pay attention to the stages. In the past, stage 1 has been triggered by 3 consecutive days of 21 million gallons a day usage, or 24 million gallons a day. Now, to put that in perspective, during the months of January, February, we run maybe 10 million gallons a day, maybe up to 11, 12 million gallons a day, depending on temperature. 21 million gallons a day is almost twice what we normally run during a dry period of the year, so it's quite a bit. The problem with waiting until we go into a voluntary stage at 21 million gallons a day for 3 consecutive days is it can be too little too late. We need to get the conservation message out earlier and educate our customers to be smart, prudent, and economical with water use. This year, we're taking a proactive approach. We're implementing stage 1, which is, again, is voluntary measures on June 1st. And to get this across, to get the message out to our customers, we have been providing information in utility bills that went out in May and June, and we're doing information sessions similar to this to get the word out to people. The voluntary measures are, as I said, they're in the plan, but what it basically does is it designates watering days for our customers based on the number of their address, the house number of their address. Even houses, we ask them to water on Sunday and Thursday, and odd houses, we ask them to water on Saturday and Wednesday. This is twice a week for everybody. You can still get everything watered, but it helps us to better manage our water. We also ask the people to use designated times for water, and that is basically in the morning from midnight till 10 a.m. and in the evening from 8 p.m. to midnight. This is mainly because watering that is done during the hot hours of the summertime from 10 a.m. till about 8 p.m. is about half of it is lost to evaporation. So it's really it's an expensive thing for people to do, and it really doesn't help the situation that the people are trying to do. Again, these are voluntary measures. We also have additional voluntary measures. We're asking people to practice water conservation, which is in general just common sense. Don't waste water. Discontinue non-essential use. And remember, and this is a phrase that we used last year and will continue to use, conservation makes sense where the first S is a dollar sign. It saves money. There's no sense wasting water because it's a waste, and it costs the customers money, and it causes us to have to build oversized facilities, and it just doesn't make any sense. For additional information, we have on the city's website, we also have several other places that will be listed on the city's website where people can go for additional information on water conservation. I encourage everybody to read the pamphlet that you received with your water bill. If you haven't gotten it, it may be that you're still in the last cycle, but it will be going out to all of our water customers. We're trying to get the jump on this year to make sure that we stay in front of it. Water conservation is extremely important for everybody. Again, it just makes sense for the dollar sign.
Great. Questions for Mr. Butcher? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I can, just a couple of quick comments. I also want to thank Mr. Butcher and the department for their work on our water conservation plan, and 2 points. One is, in addition to all of the public information that we're distributing in the educational efforts we're undertaking, we're also meeting, or I'm meeting with our top 10, I think, water users later this month. I've done that in past years also, to go over their water conservation plans. Many of the organizations that are large water users have their own internal water conservation plans. That's very important to us as we go forward in the heat of the summer and high usage. And they also like to hear what our plans are and be refreshed on that. So we'll be doing that, and that's also very helpful and beneficial. And then the last point I'd like to make is that while we have an abundant water supply, we have been very blessed here in Central Texas and in Temple in particular with very good planning and very good foresight by this council and previous councils relative to our water rights and our water supply. We do have a finite water distribution system, and that water distribution system can be very, very taxed and strained in the heat of the summer when utilization and demand goes way up. So water conservation, as Mr. Butcher's indicated, is very, very important, and it is a part of how we manage our water system. So I would also encourage folks to look at the information we've provided, follow the steps we've asked for in conservation and voluntary conservation measures, and we won't have to worry about going to any of those other stages if we can practice that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda. This is item 6A through H. All items listed under this section, consent agenda, are considered to be routine by the City Council, and they may be enacted by one motion. Discussion is desired by the council. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a council member, and it will be considered separately. Again, this is items 6A through H, and we've had a request to table the second reading on item 6E for this evening, and so we'll remove that for a motion from council on that request. Otherwise, council, are there other items you wish to be removed from consent? And if not, I'll entertain a motion on items 6A through H, less 6E.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through D and F through H.
We have motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have motion and second for approval of the consent agenda as indicated. If there's not any further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Aye.
Councilmember Jansak.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna.
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider. Mayor Jones.
Aye. Item 6E is a second reading. Consider adopting an ordinance authorizing a zoning change on approximately 18-acre tract of land from commercial district and multifamily district to family district, and a 3.2-acre tract of land from single-family attached and general retail district to single-family 1 district on a total of 21.2 acres situated in the George Gibbons Survey, abstract number 345, with platted land recorded as Bird Creek Valley 6 Bird Creek Valley Patio Homes, Bird Creek Valley Commercial Park Phase 4, and Bird Creek Valley Fourplexes Phase 3, located on both sides of Battle Drive, 352 feet north of Midway Drive, 190 feet west of Arrowhead Drive. And I don't believe this needs a presentation at all. It's just been requested by staff to table this item for this evening. If there's no objection, I'll entertain a motion to table item 6E.
I move we table this item, 2009-4292.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Madam Secretary?
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Jansen?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider? Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 7 is the first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing the creation of an I-35 overlay district containing regulations for landscaping, building standards, signs, and parking by amending the zoning ordinance, Section 7-560. Mr. Dolan.
Mayor and Council, the public hearing you have in front of you this evening has been unanimously recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and remind the Council that this has been a project long time in coming. It does conform to the comprehensive plan for the land use goal for 3.4 that discusses trying to create higher standards for certain corridors in town, and this would also create a special performance standards for the reinvestment zone number 1, and also to improve the corridor appearance. There has been a subcommittee that's met approximately 6 or 7 times, and some of those members are present in the audience this evening that come from both the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Reinvestment Zone, the Economic Development Corporation, and also Keep Temple Beautiful. And so it's been a small group that's worked very hard since the beginning of this year. Towards the end of last year, through the city manager's initiative to look at an umbrella group to work with this, the city hired TBG Architects and Planners, and Mark Myers, the principal with the company, is here this evening to be able to make the presentation. To remind the council, TBG Architects and Planners have been involved with the Airport Commerce Park, and also with the Temple Medical Education District, charrettes, and the overlay that's being created there, as well as the First Street charrette. And they have chosen Temple to use some pro bono work or some sweat equity with our master hike and bike trail plan that we'll be bringing forward to you in the later on into the summer and also into the fall. But again, Mark Myers will make the presentation this evening, and I'll be happy to assist him. This is a public hearing, and after the presentation, to please open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. Mr. Myers, welcome. Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Look forward to your presentation.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much for letting me be here tonight and sort of present something that we've been working on now for close to 6 to 7 months. Again, it's Mark Myers, TBG Partners.
It moved.
Is it working?
I don't know. I'll be happy to watch you and work on the queue.
Well, we had no issue with this earlier on. So when I first got in here this afternoon, Kim came up to me and she said, "You're not going to have a world record in slides tonight, are you?" And I promised her that I wouldn't. We have about 18 slides, so I'm going to try to spend about 10 minutes to just overview the ordinance and where we've been. First of all, when we started this project, one of the biggest visions that the city had is that this ordinance is to act as a gateway for Temple. It's very obvious that all the traffic that comes through Temple comes through I-35 when they're either going from Dallas or they're going to Austin or they're going even to the smaller cities surrounding Temple. It is the first thing that you see when you come and you leave Temple. So it was very important for us that this ordinance is something that creates a new image for the city. It is also to address safety, aesthetics, and functional characteristics of development and redevelopment here in the next 5 years all the way to the next 30 years as things progress and change within the I-35 corridor. It is also to enhance the city's image as a desirable place to live, work, and recreate. As Tim had said, this was an initiative that was started by P&Z in 2004, so it's about a 5-year-old initiative. We then kicked this up again in late 2008, so we've been working on it for about 6 months. And in March this year, we had a owners meeting for all the owners that were along the I-35 corridor, which we had about 41 people attend, so they would have input within the district themselves, besides our committee that we had separate meetings for. One of the things that we noticed is just the existing development and character of the I-35 corridor. It is dated from the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, where development regulations just weren't what they are today. So one of the first things that we wanted to do is just show some of the things that we did, and we actually spent 2 days driving up and down the corridor taking pictures and having people ask us, what are we doing? Especially a lot of people that had a lot of pride in their places. So you have a lot of good citizens that are wanting to understand what's going on. So we got to meet a lot of them. But from that, what we started to look at is that the overlay district actually at one time was thought to be one complete overlay for the entire corridor. But what we found is that Temple actually has a lot of different zones that are developing. The north zone is very industrialized. The south zone is actually where new commercial and retail is being developed, as you can see with the Target and the Best Buy and the retail center there. We're also looking at, you have 5 very special corridors within the cities, and these are your major intersections. I-35 that meets the Dodge-Kin Loop on the north and the south end. Where it comes down is hits Central and Adams, and also the future loop that goes on the outside. So what we did is we came up with a classification of 4 ordinances. One, which is the purple area that you see on the screen, which is the industrial corridor, which is to the north. The red area is the freeway retail commercial area. The greens would be the city entry areas, and the blue at the very top is where the existing convention center is. One of the things that's important with this is that we need to understand when do these ordinances that we're bringing forward go into effect with new construction. Really, when are they applicable? So one of the things that we did is we said all new construction that happens within the corridor has to apply to our rules and regulations. That is, if you're tearing down a building and building a new one, or if you're owning a piece of land and there's nothing built there and you're building something new. The other thing was that what happens if you have an existing building and you want to refurbish it? So we sort of came up with a threshold of how that would be structured. And as you affect the square footage of your building or the taxable value of your building, you have more standards to it. So they start from 10 to 25%, 25 to 50%, and 50% or more have to comply entirely with the district. And this is actually cumulative over a 15-year period that will need to be tracked. As we go through, the next thing that we started to look at were area regulations, and each sub-district, which there are 4 of, has area regulations that talk about lot size, lot width, lot depth, front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks, rear yard setbacks, and rear yard setbacks that are adjacent to residential, and lot area. So each one of those zones has their own standards as we go forward with that. The other thing that is very critical that we felt, and as we work with staff and the coordination group, is the look. And one of the things that we can get the biggest impact by is architecture and how the landscape looks throughout the corridor. So for the industrial zone, we have landscape standards that have a 35-foot landscape buffer along the parkway and the property line, and a 50-foot building setback. Trees are required every 30 feet on center, and we are asking that berms be placed anywhere between 2 feet to 4 feet in height, over 50% of that buffer in that area. And sidewalks in the industrial areas are not required. In the freeway retail area, we're asking that buildings be set back 25 feet, a minimum landscape buffer of 25 feet also. In this area, we're going to ask that trees also be spaced 1 tree every 30 feet along the frontage of the building. Again, we're also asking for the berms, and in this area, we're asking for a 5-foot meandering sidewalk along the right-of-way. As we go on, the city entry zone, which is really the most stringent of all zones, the building setback is similar to the freeway retail, which is 25 feet. And then for the trees, instead of going 1 tree every 30 feet, we're asking for 1 tree every 25 feet and 1 ornamental tree every 25 feet. And again, we're also requiring the berms and a 5-foot sidewalk along that area. Now, those are for the areas that are outside, but as we get into the areas which are parking lots, we are also asking that certain parking lot standards be applied, that we have landscape islands and trees within the parking lots, and that's one thing that you'll notice along the corridor right now that you don't have. So we're actually trying to soften the appearance of the parking areas that you have. That also goes back into Architecture, within all three of these zones, we have varying degrees of architectural standards, the industrial being the least, all the way to the city entry zone, which are the most. Within the freeway, retail, commercial area, and the city entry zone, we're asking that tripartite architecture be applied. What that is that we're asking that when a building is built, even if it's a one-story, although we're representing that as a three-story, that we start with their heaviest material at the base and going to the lightest material on the top to make the buildings look like they're actually grounded. We're also asking within all these districts that you have articulations within the buildings. I think what a lot of the areas that you've seen is that a lot of buildings will develop and they'll be on one flat surface. What we're asking is for buildings that are over 200 feet in length have articulation that sits back 6 feet in that area. What that does is help break up the scale and the proportion of the building. You can actually see that with your new Target and Best Buy that was just created. That is an excellent example of articulation, and they would actually apply with these standards. As we go on, one of the other things that we talked about, and this doesn't apply to the city, but in a way it does, and these are public improvement zones. What we're asking for are improvements that are from the right-of-way in, but what that leaves is the TxDOT corridor in there. And one of the things as we went forward, we wanted to figure out, is there a way that we can coordinate with TxDOT so in the future when I-35 is improved, or even before it's improved, that their landscaping is similar to your landscaping. So one of the things that we did is we went through a series of design ideas that started to show at these city entry zones what the TxDOT landscape could look like if we could work in coordination with them, showing what our standards is. This is not a standard within the document. This is something, once this is approved, we just want to sit down with TxDOT and see if they're even interested in talking to the city and going forward with trying to improve their areas because you guys are making an investment in your areas. And then just to end, the reason this is important is that TxDOT's going to improve I-35, and we all know it's going to come sooner or later. It is going to bring a lot of new growth. It's going to bring retail growth. It's going to bring industrial growth. You guys have a lot of different patterns going on in the city. So we want to anticipate this highway growth that's going to help, and then anticipate these standards that will help you, not today, but things that are going to happen 5, 10 to 20 years down the road. The other thing is that really, this is the biggest chance that you guys have to make an impression, I think, on Temple. That is my opinion. I think we did a traffic study working with your GIS department. You guys have about 70,000 people traveling down I-35 every day that's seeing the city of Temple. So this is your really first impression as people go through there. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if you guys have read and looked over the details of the ordinance. And with that, I'll close my session of the hearing.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Council, questions for Mr. Myers? Thanks to you and your staff at TVG for
Thank you very
the
much.
work that you've done to date. Thanks. Council, if there's no questions or comments, this item requires public hearing, and I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak before the council on this item, please come forward and state your name and address for the record prior to making your comments. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on first reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of the first reading on the ordinance authorizing the creation of an I-35 overlay district. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Jeter?
Aye.
Councilmember Janczak?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna?
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider?
Aye.
Mayor Jones?
Aye. Item 8 is the first reading of the public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance authorizing an amendment for the tax increment financing reinvestment zone number 1 financing plan for the fiscal year 2009 for the installation of streetlights in the Bioscience Park and and Outer Loop Phase 2 in an amount not to exceed $133,000. Ms. Bernard.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This proposed amendment would fund the installation for the Bioscience Park and lights amounting to $37,000. The Outer Loop Phase 2 in the amount of $96,000. Funding for this is coming from bond proceeds, essentially allocating savings from the detention pond project and allocating it to fund the lights on those two projects. Discretionary service agreements with Encore Electric Delivery Company will be presented at the May 21st council meeting for your consideration. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have related to that item. I think also Michael Noonan has any detail on the actual lights or specs related to those.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bernard. Council, questions? There being none, this item requires a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Anyone wishing to speak before the council, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Speak.
Mayor, members of council, I'm on the reinvestment zone, also a member of the Central Texas Astronomical Society, and we're working with school systems in the region in trying to encourage interest in science and math. And one of the things we're interested in is the lighting selection. And I know TxDOT uses some of the lighting that allows for dark sky compliance. And to the extent that we can use their standards in our light selection within budget, of course, that would be of great assistance. We're starting to work with Robin Battershaw with creating some science projects for the high school and the school district generally, and we want to utilize the BISI area as much as possible. And so we're supportive of the efforts that are going on, and we'd like to cooperate with that, and hopefully the suggestion regarding dark sky compliant lighting will be of assistance. Thank you.
May I ask a question? Do the lights on the other part of Research Parkway, the future Research Parkway outer loop, do they conform?
Some of them do, and some of them don't. When you have the fixture itself with the light bulb hanging below, it scatters light upward, creating less directional lighting, and actually that makes it a little less safe than would ordinarily be the case. And so TxDOT has a variety of lighting options, and one of the things they're putting in their new construction along I-35 are lights that are flat, flush with the fixture, and you'll see all of that light goes down, where you can actually see it when I drive up and down I-35 on a weekly basis.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Anyone else wishing to comment or speak on this item? Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Council, your pleasure on first reading.
Motion to approve this item.
Have a motion and a second for approval of the ordinance authorizing an amendment to the tax increment financing reinvestment zone number 1. If there's no further discussion, Madam Secretary.
Councilmember Jansek.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Luna.
Aye.
Councilmember Schneider.
Aye.
Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Items 9 and 10 are both board appointments this evening, and neither of these items are ready for appointment. Number 9 is to consider adopting a resolution naming the members of the board for the South Central High-Speed Rail Authority, and number 10 is to consider adopting a resolution appointing one member to the Bell County Public Health District Board of Directors. And Council, I'd like to bring these two items back for our May 21st meeting. And so, if there's nothing else for the good of the city this evening, ladies and gentlemen, we are adjourned.